go live on TikTok first, so it happens. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? What's the vibe? Let me know down in the chat. Okay, I don't want us to get too far off topic before we get into this mindfulness meditation, because you know the meditation could take us from anywhere from 5 minutes to the first 10 minutes of the live. Okay, so quickly, why the first video I see coming on to the internet today is as I'm trying to get the live situated on TikTok, the first video I see come up is other news from around the world that, isn't being broadcasted in the United States of America. And they're talking about how other countries don't see America as a first world country anymore. And I want to be completely frank with you guys. Because of our education, right? We don't have free education for all, right? It's not equal unilateral education for all. Boom, score number one. That docks a point, okay? Two, we do not have free healthcare for all, right? Boom, that's another point docked off. Those are two major things that if you're gonna call yourself a first world country, you need them, right? Otherwise, you're not. You're the slums. Keep it like America to me has always been the slums. It has never been a first world country, right? We don't have free unilateral education for everybody. We don't have free healthcare for everybody, right? So therefore, we were never a first world country, right? Because as soon as the first world countries decided they were going to do that stuff and America didn't take that step with them, that's when America got, put to the side. Like, we don't know what to call you yet, so we're just going to keep you there. But as you can see with the United States America's progression, right, more and more countries are like, is America a first world country? Like, let's go ahead and revoke that title, right? And it's like, guys, for years, I've only been on this planet for 23 years, and I promise you, I've never once thought it was a first world country. Right. So America has a lot of things to work on before it can ever be seen as a first world country ever again. So I just thought let you know how funny I thought that was, seeing how that's the first video of the day to pop up on my timeline. That it's like I never thought that anyway. I grew up in this country, born and raised, and I never thought that anyway, right? The first world countries are now solving homelessness in their countries. America is nowhere close to solving homelessness. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's another factor that goes into why this country has not ever been a first world country for a few decades now, right? So when other first world countries start making huge steps for their people, for their communities, and there's other countries that are like, I don't know if we're gonna take that step, right? That's what differentiates the first world countries from second world or third world countries, right? Who's willing to make steps, who's willing to take those steps to make their communities better, right? If you're not willing to do that, then it's like, are you? Are you not? You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Anywho, let's get into our mindfulness practice, guys. Um, Am I using sign language? No, I'm still learning sign language. However, I do talk with my hands, right? That's just how I am. That's who I am. I talk with my hands. Okay. So let's get into our mindfulness practice. Okay. Join me in a comfortable seat. Hi, Tyson. Sorry, Tyson is so funny. It'd just be like, so what we doing today? You gonna sit here? You wanna come up here? You wanna come up? Oh yeah. He wanted to say hi, guys. So we'll let him say hi. We're gonna get into our comfortable seat, guys. Okay. All right. So you can sit crisscross applesauce, or you can just sit how I'm sitting in a chair, feet on the ground. Okay. You'll be laying down, whatever is more comfortable for you. Okay. Alrighty. You close your eyes when you're ready. And we're going to begin by taking some deep breaths. focusing inward. As Tyson licks my hand. Right, focusing inward. Inhaling stomach and rib cage, holding at the top, and then you're gonna exhale with a sigh, okay? And take a moment to really get into this. Hold. Let it out with a sigh. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Do a couple more of those just like that at your own pace. And when you're ready, you're going to imagine your aura field all around you. Getting in the habit of feeling out what color your energy resides in. If your mind wanders, go ahead and return your focus gently back to your breath. And when you're ready, we're going to imagine all that lovely energy going down to the soles of our feet, creating a bridge or a pillar of light all the way to the Earth's core, Mother Gaia's core, becoming one with her energy. Watching as the energies flow simultaneously through the pillar, through the bridge, back and forth between one another as one. And when you're ready, you're going to imagine all that beautiful energy coming up the up the pillar, up the bridge, to the soles of your feet, through your legs, all the way through the root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus chakra, heart chakra, throat chakra, third eye chakra, all the way to our tippy top crown chakra. Okay, I'm gonna imagine a bridge, a pillar of light going from the crown of our head all the way to the core. As above, so below. You know, I got a million and one analogies to explain the yin and the yang. The duality of light and dark, the duality of feminine and masculinity. You're leaving us, Tai Tai. I won't go through them all today as we bring our lovely energy back through the crown of our heads all the way to our heart chakra, and we balance the energies of the divine and of the physical world. Taking as much time as you need here. Remember, you are safe, you are loved, you are seen, and you are heard. You can say those in I am format for some affirmations, especially if you're feeling anything in your lower three chakras while you're balancing and grounding. And when you're ready, we're going to do wiggle our toes, wiggle our fingers. You can roll out your ankles if you're feeling like your joints need some extra attention. Roll out your wrists if those joints need some attention. And then we're going to go ahead and shake it out. If you have some time later today, some neck rolls too. Okay. Pay attention to your body, what it's feeling, what it needs today. Okay. And we're gonna be here now. Open our eyes, present for our lesson of the day. Okay. Alrighty, so we are going back into the dimensions of consciousness. So welcome in, welcome in. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Let me know down in the chat, okay? And I really do hope you guys get into the habit of doing the mindfulness practice with us at the beginning of these lives, okay? When we do them, right? So you see, this is the demonstration. I'm guiding you through it, so you get used to it. You make it a habit. You get used to doing it on your own as well. Especially with our playlist, okay, with the mindfulness playlist on YouTube, right? So uh I didn't even realize that like this exercise that I created, I've been doing this exercise for years, right? And I found a video like what was it a few months ago that was so similar to how I was doing it, and I added that video in there because I was like, "That's so cool." I was like, "I've just been doing this strictly off of intuition," and I didn't realize, you know what I'm saying. Someone else was envisioning it the way I was, you know what I'm saying, with the grounding meditation, right? When we ground our energy with the earth and ground our energy with the divine, and we are the divine, we are the physical, all in wrapped in one vessel, right? So being able to balance the two within your vessel, okay, right? I didn't realize that there was a video like that. So you know what I'm saying, ask you shall receive, apparently, you know what I'm saying, always, amen. So anywho, yeah, so that video is also in there with the other mindfulness videos, right? Meditations, breath works, yoga, okay, meditation music, right? Guided meditations is what I said first. So first is the guided meditations. You're gonna go through the playlist, right? I made it so it's like beginner to expert. I'm still like trying to rearrange the playlist so it's like very easy for you guys to go through and see how to use the mindfulness in practice, right? So right now I did organize it with all the guided meditations at the top of the mindfulness playlist, right? excuse me. And then we have, I'm going to switch, but there are binaural beats in between that, right? And then breath work. Okay, so breath work would be the next one I want it to be, but I'm still rearranging. I'm just trying to make sure all the same categorized videos are with each other. So right now, eventually it will be guided meditations, breath work, journaling, and then it will be all the yoga, beginner yoga all the way to expert yoga. Okay. Same with breath work, beginner breath work all the way to expert breath work. Same with the guided meditations and the guided meditations are always going to be guided, so you don't really have to worry about guiding yourself, right? Versus all the other music that's in there, the high vibrational music, the binaural beats, right? Or just regular high vibration manifesting music, right? So all of that is in the mindfulness playlist. I'm trying to make it so that the binaural beats, the high vibrational music that has a certain hertz on it, right? And then the other high vibrational music that you can meditate, especially for manifestation, clearing blockages, anything like meeting your getting your subconscious in order, right? Meeting your higher self, meeting your guides, right? There's a bunch of meditation music in there for specific things to get your body in that specific mode, right? So I'm gonna move them so those three categories are near each other, because those are for more advanced meditators, right? People practicing mindfulness that are in a more advanced zone, because those videos are literally an hour or longer. So if you meditate an hour or longer, there are videos in there for you that are just straight meditation music that you can listen to, not guided, just straight meditation music. Okay. So those three categories, I'm going to move them so they're next to each other, but then all the beginner level mindfulness practices are going to be at the very top. Remember, there are 200 videos in this playlist, so it's a lot, right? But I am going through and I'm organizing it so that it is literally from beginner to expert, right? So all you have to do, if you're a beginner, you start at the top. If you're an expert, you're going to scroll down. You can still use this stuff that's in the top and everything like that. If you're not feeling like guiding yourself through a meditation today, boom, I put on one of these 10-minute guiding videos and I just follow along. I meditate. I go with the flow. You know what I'm saying? So I do that. It doesn't matter where you're at on your journey with mindfulness, because everybody in this world right at this time needs it. Okay. I created that playlist last year when I got back onto my content journey. Okay, because I knew that when I started my spiritual journey, right, mindfulness, the most I had for mindfulness was these books my aunt got me, because I told her like I started getting into crystals, and she got me like these books, right? She was like, boom. So when I first started my journey, this is what I had, right? And basically, this is what I had to curate. I had to do my own research. I had to go through my own tests, tribulations, trials, right? With this being the only knowledge I had from the physical realm, right, on this stuff. Of course, the rest of the knowledge came from the spiritual realm, from my ancestors, from my spirit guides. Okay. So no yes or no questions today, guys. We are strictly doing our lesson day on Tuesdays, right? Yes or no questions, and any personal questions is only on Thursdays, or you have to DM me if it is an emergency. Okay, so if you need a reading right now, DM me, right? For a 3-card or 5-card reading only. Yes or no questions are strictly reserved for Thursday live sessions. Okay. I do see your guys' chats, but remember, if you don't say hi, hello, how you doing, Alayia, you know what I'm saying, I'm more less likely to respond, right? Because it's just one of my big pet peeves. Okay. So if I see you say hi, hello, how you doing, you vibing in the chat, you talking along, you got questions for me, you know what I'm saying? If you act like a human being, I'm gonna act like a human being too. Simple as that. That's how we gotta treat each other, right? If you're gonna act like, you come in my chat and you just ask a question, but you don't say nothing, you don't say hello, you don't say how you doing, right? You don't move as a human, there's too many internet bots, right? I'm trying to flush out the bots. Let me know if you're human or not. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to keep the bots off my stuff. So you gotta let me know if you're human or not. Right? Especially with the way my energy, right, and the things that we talk about on my channel. Okay, I already know they already trying to send blockages, trying to send bots my way because they don't want this information getting out. They don't want these things talked about. They don't want my energy to be seen, okay, as it should be on the internet. But it is what it is, okay, and we still gonna keep showing up because why not? Exactly. That just, you know what I'm saying, gives me a little extra boost, okay? They they left me alive too long. That was the problem. Um, right. I had time to learn, grow, and evolve past point that is literally not on their side there. Okay. So where were we at last time? So I'm going to get back into our lesson from last week where we were talking about the dimensions of consciousness, okay? And how many levels there are in consciousness. I think we went from, I kind of went all over the place, but we are going to get into, I think, the last paragraph on the etheric, right? And then the next three here. Okay, the next three astral planes. Okay. And then we're gonna get into, if we have time, because I do have things to do today. If we have time, we're gonna get into these bottom section here. Okay. Oh, it explains them. I was like, I might have to look up these pictures to like find more information on them so we can like go in more depth. But it also explains them here. So I'll still like look this up, but I'm gonna have to look these pictures up. That's fine. That's what we do, y'all. Grow, learn, evolve. If you want to do your own research, right? It is in the TikTok shop, okay? Called the Book of Wisdom. There's 2 books. I got both books so we can go over them so that we can also see. I don't know. I love to grow, learn, and evolve, y'all. So I'm really testing to see how much I've learned in the last 6 years on my journey, as well as explaining this stuff to you guys. Okay, so it's a learning process for us all. However, you know what I'm saying. Like I said, the last 6 years of my research, 6 years of being tossed into the fire and having to figure a way out of it, right, is how I learned a lot of this information, right? I don't even know when this book was written, but definitely not a few years ago. It's the end part for me. Hold on. Credit goes to divine being divine, period. Okay, but I was trying to see if there is a date this book was written. The internet works for a reason. Okay, so we're gonna look it up. Because I know the Be Here Now book was out. So I did get that book. But it was too early on my journey anyway to read it. Like, this is why I go over this information with you guys. But when I tell you, like, give you a book recommendation, you can read and read and read and read and read and read and read all you want. But unless you, like, really go through things on your journey, right, you really, like, experience the things that are being talked about in these books, you're not really going to fully comprehend. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to fully understand what's going on in them until you go through these experiences yourself, right? And that's how it was when I read the Be Here Now book. And I literally read, like, not even all the white pages in it. Let me show you. I read five of these brown pages, right? 5 of these brown pages, and then a little bit of the white pages. Now, mind you, I mainly skipped to these pages because these pages looked the coolest at the time, and what I didn't realize is how many gems it held in it, right? So imagine, you know what I'm saying, first few months, because it was like my 18th birthday was the June of that year. So literally not even a full 6 months later, right, is when my full awakening occurred, right, when my first conscious thought came back, self-awareness came back, right in that moment. Okay, awareness of soul came back all in that time, literally only a few months after my 18th birthday. So I got this book the following year. Okay, so the year's about to end basically by time this happens. This is in the last few months of 2020. So basically 2021 was the bulk of the beginning of my spiritual journey, right? So boom, everything. I got this book. Oh my goodness. Has it been 5 years? I'm thinking, I'm like, wait a second. I think they got this book in 2021 in February. And it's February, I guess. It has been that long. Okay, so so yes, it's been 5 years since I've had this book. And I bought this of my spiritual journey, right? So imagine a book with the when I tell y'all the gems that are in this book. The first 6 months of my journey, if I thought I really was gonna understand this book, I was kidding myself, right? That was ego talking, right? Because it was not the soul. The soul's like, you go ahead and put that book down. You're not ready for it yet. Right, like this is first 6 months of my journey, and I thought I was gonna be ready for this book. I was not. I got a couple pages in, and I was like, what they even talking about for real? You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it, right? Zoom in. What was it, 2024 is when I read this book with you guys out loud, right? So 2024 we read this book. I was like, it was literally like a few years later, boom. What was that's technically 4 years, right? 4 years later, boom, after going through what I went through on my journey, it was like, oh, I get it now. You know what I'm saying? But those first 6 months when I thought I knew something, you know what I'm saying? I knew nothing. I knew nothing. And I still like to live my life like I don't know anything. Gives me room to grow, learn, right? And not be attached to one style of something, right? So anywho, we were looking, y'all, that's my neurodivergency. If I start getting off topic and start going all over the place, just know my neurodivergency is in the room with us, okay? And okay. Because swear to you. Now, volume 1, let me see, when did this come out? Publication date, and the AI is even confused. So it's okay. I'm lost because it's 3 different dates. I don't know which one is the right one. Okay, it's talking about publication as far back as 2024, but actual release dates. Okay, so wait. Okay, so maybe wait. The first book was 2024. The second book was 2 months later and 2025 for publication. Hold on, let me make sure because it other versions or okay, never mind, guys. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Okay. All right. So it's talking about other people who have listed similar books back in 2024 and February 2025. So these specific books, okay, I asked you for one question and then you give me like a buttload of information here. Okay, so July 25th. We're going to go with the 25th because it's saying two separate dates again. 29th or the 25th, sometime in July in 2025, guys. That's what we got. That's what we got here because the internet don't even know. At this point, because yeah, if we go into not net and net Newtonville books, um, it says the 29th as well. So Barnes and Noble says the 29th. Amazon says the 29th. So it's the 29th. We're going with the 29th, y'all. That's what we're gonna go with. Swear to God, it literally like says 25 in my face, right? But it's like when you scroll down, everyone else is saying 29. So anyhow, last year is when this book was published, meaning it was not around during my baby spiritualist days. Okay, meaning all this information is information I got intuitively, information I had to do my own research on, right? And it wasn't as vastly put it in a book, easy, simple for people to understand, right? So, boom. That's why we're going over it. Okay, if you could teach me something new, I'm grateful, right? If it can't, that's okay because God universe always has something new for me to learn anyway. So infinite intelligence is infinite, right? So quickly, let's go into this because we have been talking and talking and talking and talking. So the etheric plane is the realm of energy, electricity, and magnetism, the bridge between the physical and astral worlds. It is associated with the fifth element, also known as spirit or ether. Uh, ether. The ether is a subtle substance that exists between dimensions, having one foot in the material world and one foot in the unseen. Okay. Now, all right, so we went through that. We might have to read it like this because it's been going up. It's not situated with its picture the right way. So we'll just go through the astral planes now. So the astral plane, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, make sure that you ask them in the chat. Okay, put them in the chat. Welcome in. How y'all doing? Let me know down below. Okay, so the astral plane is where thoughts take form. If the mental plane is the realm of pure thought, like the concept of a chair, the astral plane is where that thought becomes an image and visualization of the chair. So, I'll explain that one more time. The concept of a chair. The concept of a chair, right? When we think of the concept of a chair, don't imagine a chair, right? Because we know what imagining a chair is. That's when we start getting to the astral plane of thought. Okay, we are just thinking of the concept of a chair. We know the concept of the chair is to sit, right? So we're thinking it's more, looks more like a those diaphragms that they have, right? The thought looks like this, right? So in the mental plane, a thought looks like this. It's just a concept, right? And the astral, when we get into the astral planes, a chair now starts to build form. Boom. Now it has a little seat here. boom, now it's a chair, right? Um, and starts to take that form. So that's what he's trying to explain when he says the concept versus the visualization. Okay, so try to get like when you're thinking of that, try to separate the two in your own head. Try to separate the image from the thought, right? So you could tell the difference of concept versus visualization. Okay. Um, it is the dimension of imagination, mental pictures, and dreams. The astral plane. The fourth dimension, I also call this one. Um, right. Fourth dimensional astral plane where you astral project, right? This is why astral projection is actually happening, okay? Because it is in the fourth dimension where it takes place, okay? So the screen we see in our mind when we imagine something is a direct interaction with the astral plane. Okay. Um this is where I tell you guys we've talked about this before and how we project things that we see in our mind outward, right? Our eyes are just projectors of what we've already created in here, right? Your imagination, that's his reality, right? Because you're changing what's in here, right? And boom, that's what's getting projected out. Okay, so all of that ties into one another, right? Because you have to be able to see it right in here, not out here, okay, in here, okay. So taking see it to believe it to another whole nother level, because if you can see it in here, right, then you can believe it in here, and if you can believe it in here, right, it's gonna make your projection of it, right, your eyes, what your eyes see, a whole lot stronger and magnetizing to what it is that you already see up here and believe in here, right. So now your eyes are going to be drawn to, magnetized to, attracted to the things that you are feeling in here and in here. Okay. Remember, your thoughts and your emotions shape your reality. If you get them in alignment, okay, about your reality, it will shift your reality. Okay. Try to make it simple. If you need me to break it down any further, let me know. Okay. Um, and welcome in, guys, but we are not doing any personal questions today. Okay, we're just going over this spiritual knowledge and wisdom that everyone needs to know, right? As the world is changing, where these things are going to be the hierarchy of knowledge. Okay, so where are we at? Okay, because thoughts are things, what we create in the mind manifests in this realm. Swear to God, I just said that. Never mind. We got to go to the next line. Anywho, I'm like, well, I just explained that to you guys. Sometimes if I just keep reading, if I just keep reading, I won't have to go over it. But I still want to explain it to you guys. So the astral plane is structured by vibrational frequencies. Okay, creating three primary levels: higher, middle, and lower astral. Right, when you do astral projection, you're always going to start on the lower astral plane. That's where all the entities and spirits is chilling and hanging, usually the lower vibrational ones, right, that are true chilling and hanging, right. Ancestors can be, depending if they're ascended masters, they will be up in the astral plane, but usually normal ancestors, right, are usually in the lower or middle here, okay, because they're the closest to the earth realm. Okay, so then you have your high dimensional beings in the higher astral. Okay, so but when you astral project, it is always a that you have to get out of the lower astral field and into the higher astral field. Okay, because you don't want to be down here in the lower astral field. It's just it's not me fear mongering. You just typically do not want to deal with the entities, right? Not your ancestors, right? But the other entities that are on the lower astral field, okay? Because they feisty. Right, and if you is your first time astral projecting and you don't know anything about spiritual protection, you don't know how to protect yourself, then baby, just get out of there, go up. You know what I'm saying? Keep going up. Right. So at the level at which thought manifests depends on its frequency. So this is more arranged about thoughts, but I also was talking about astral projection, which I think we do get. Just flip the page. I'm like, we do get into astral project. It's literally the next couple of pages. So, yeah, I'm telling you about astral projection now. It can wait, I guess, to the next couple of pages. So let's just keep it focused so you guys, we're not getting too, say confusing, but not too off topic, right? Because we'll save astral projection for another day. Let's talk about the astral plane and dimensions of consciousness. Okay, so high astral plane formed by thoughts of love, joy, wisdom, peace, embodying high frequencies. I'm also gonna throw courage into this as well. Courage is also a very high vibrational thought. Okay, a lot of people think that courage is just the way you are, but it is a high vibrational thought, right? Stand up for something you believe in, even when you're afraid, right? That is very, very, the valor you're showing the divine is like, this is outweighing this, right? So naturally, courageous energy versus fearful energy, right, is going to be like at a hierarchy, right? This is high vibrational, this is low vibrational. That's why Roosevelt said the only thing you have to fear is fear itself. Right? Because literally, if you literally aren't afraid of anything, okay, I mean, makes you a threat to this matrix, but you know what I'm saying? Like, literally, nothing is going to stand in your way. Nothing is going to get you down. You know what I'm saying? Get you in a frequency where you don't trust yourself, where you have doubt. You know what I'm saying? So, courage is another high vibrational thought plane energy with the high astral plane. Okay. Pen. So I'm gonna write that down. Remember, you guys are allowed to take your notes. Ask your questions, any comments you want to add to what we're learning about today. If you have any information to add or you want us to know about regarding these things, okay, always feel free to add, okay? If you're new to this information and you got questions, always feel free to ask, okay? So the middle astral plane, a mixture of energies where both positive and neutral thoughts take shape, okay? We'll save that for astral projection. I'm getting ahead of myself, y'all. We're gonna save that thought for astral projection day. Right now we're just talking about the dimensions of consciousness. Okay, so we're both neutral and positive thoughts take shape, and then of course the lower astral plane is going to be fear, hatred, lust, violence, which is more realm for chaotic and demonic thought forms. Lower astral is going to be our natural instincts as well. When you think about it, in the sense that we are all capable of doing great harm to each other, right? We are all capable of doing things that we shouldn't be, right? But we are all capable of it. At the end of the day, you have to realize that you are capable, as much as love and light you're capable of, you are as capable as that same amount of darkness. Okay, that same amount of evilness, right? You are capable of both. Okay, when you realize you are duality, right? When you realize you are love and you are hatred, when you realize you are these things, you are fear, you are courage, right? When you realize you are both, you are light and you are dark. Okay, you are both, right? But making the conscious decision on which one you'll vibrate in is the difference between the awakened and the asleep. Okay. Because like I said, violence, right? So thinking of hurting yourself or hurting others is going to be a lower astral plane. Okay, vibration where your thoughts reside. Okay, once you get out of that type of thoughts, right? And think about it, think about why all the music is perpetuating these ideals with violence, with drogas, with, you know, sexual intercourse. You know what I'm saying? They are literally perpetuating these ideas of the lower astral plane. Think about it. When you listen to certain rap music, right, that the Matrix pushes out, it's always with things that have to do with violent behavior, hatred, lust, violence, right? Okay. And when people start making songs about high vibrational attitudes, about love, about courage, right? Joy, hope, about these things that we should be pushing into society, right? Those things don't get seen as often. They don't get pushed out like that, right? But the lower vibrational stuff does. You know what I'm saying? So always pay attention to that. I mean, like, I don't even know what Bad Bunny be rapping about, but they put him on the Super Bowl, which is a literal ritual, right? I don't know why people still watching the Super Bowl. It's a literal ritual. Okay. What was it? I never really watched the Super Bowl before, but I think it was the Rihanna performance was the one year that I was like, let me check this out. And then I was like, oh heck, you know. Turn it off. That's a ritual. Turn it off. I see checker. I see hypnosis stuff. Go ahead and turn that off. Go ahead and turn that off. And I didn't even watch it like live. I literally was just trying to see her performance. And then when I started seeing all that demonic stuff, I was like, oh, they doing rituals. I already knew that, but I just wanted to see. I just wanted to see everybody talking about she was pregnant. So I'm like, never mind, never mind. Mind you, she's pregnant, right? Which is a womb, which is mean she's harvesting energy, so making sure that her pregnancy goes 100% a-okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, right? And then another example of, you know what I'm saying, I'll get back into this, but see, that's a person using their spiritual knowledge evil. She used it so that she made sure that she had good health, right? Her whole family was taken care of with that one ritual. Boom, right? Everybody was on her. You know what I'm saying? Paid her. She good. She good. Her whole family good. Energetically, and physically. You know what I'm saying? They good. They did that little ritual to hypnotize the folks. You know what I'm saying? That's what they did. But on the other side, there's people who don't have the spiritual knowledge, right? They don't have the wisdom in their souls, and they are posting things about their children, right? And then later they're like, something happened. Well, it's because you allowed for other people to also, when we get into quantum mechanics and everything like this is why I tell you guys, when good things happen, you don't need to be all over the internet telling everybody about it, okay? Especially if it's still in the works, you know what I'm saying? And pregnancies take 9 months, which means it's still in the works that whole 9 months. Anything can happen in those 9 months. God forbid, but anything can. You know what I'm saying? The with quantum mechanics, okay, involved, right? If you allow that many other people, especially thousands and thousands and thousands of people, to know that you're pregnant, bad things can happen, right? God forbid, but bad things can happen because you never know what other people are wishing on you, what other people are hoping is your outcome, right? Because that's allowing their energy to be put in to the atmosphere, right? Think of it as tiny little atoms. Their thought is an atom, right? Boom, now it's in the air. Okay, and if you don't have any protection from any of that, right, now all of the stuff they are wishing on you, all those thoughts, all those little atoms they sent your way, now it's affecting your reality, right? So we can get deeper into that, but I just was saying, like, think about how they perpetuate the lower vibrational music to keep you out of a higher vibrational mindset, right? Um, and it literally is to keep you in the lower astral plane of thoughts, okay? Um, which is why so many people struggle also with depression, with anxiety. It's because of where their frequency, their thought level is at, okay? um all of that goes into one another. I know it might seem like, if you're new to this, it might seem like it's all over the place, but honestly, it all ties back into one another. Um, I'm just trying to get through the rest of this page for today. Okay, so if you remember, if you have questions, comments, concerns, you want to add anything, or you have a question what we're talking about, feel free to put it in the chat. Okay, I will go over anything you want me to go over more in depth. Okay, right now I'm just trying to get through this. So when we astral project, which we will be talking about more here, okay, we use our mind to astral project the soul into the astral plane. That's a pretty straightforward explanation for it. Yeah. It's literally that. You know what I'm saying? I don't. That's the best way to explain that. To be honest, is straightforward to the point. It's literally you're projecting your mind, right? Yeah, there's really. Anywho, so however, our experiences are dictated by our vibrational frequency. If we operate on a low frequency, we will encounter low, such as demons, negative spirits, um, spirits that have unfinished business, revengeful spirits. That's gonna reside in the lower astral plane because their thoughts are on the negative things, right? So, feel like anytime you're talking about The Conjuring, or you're talking about shows like The Supernatural, right? The beings that they dealt with, like more so in the beginning, of Supernatural and everything, were lower astral beings, right? Most of the time, before they started getting into all the stuff about the angels and the demons and stuff like that, right, which moves us up the astral plane, right? But in the beginning, it was mainly lower astral plane and beings that they were dealing with, which is understandable because they are the closest to us to the physical realm, right? We do have the, what's the word? I don't want to say thinnest, but the leaps and the hops, you know what I'm saying? The veil there isn't as extravagant as if you're talking about higher astral dimensional beings, right? Because everyone knows that you're not going to see an angel in its true form unless you are truly ready for that encounter, right? It's just not going to happen, right? They're not going to show themselves in their truest form because your eyes might actually get burnt out, right? Because of how much divine power they hold. It's too much for these eyes, right? So you can't see them with these eyes. You're gonna have to use your third eye, because it's just where we're at on the planes. Okay, so if we resonate with higher frequency, higher vibrations, we experience elevated realms and benevolent beings, right? Which I just explained. But seriously, like the lower astral planes, you'll see more nightmares, right? Especially when you're talking about your dream state as well. If you're in a lower astral plane, your dream state will also show this as well. For those of you who had a lot of nightmares as kids, right? That was because your mindset was in that. But your subconscious, if you are blocking it right now, is your subconscious is trying to protect you from it, even though it's just if you changed your paradigm, if you switched your paradigm to think in a higher astral mindset, right, then you don't really need that protection anymore, right? So I think that was our, I'm just gonna go ahead and that simple definition of astral projection and highlight it because I mean that's the most simplest way of putting it. Right? And then I'm just gonna make sure I can tell the difference between which ones are which. So yeah, I mean I bought this book, so I intend to mark it up as necessary, with all the things that are important to know about the dimensions of consciousness. So whenever we have to come back to these things, you know what I'm saying, we have all of this knowledge as well as all the intuitive knowledge as well as all the other books and people who have had access to this intuitive knowledge, you know, and written their books, right? All of that. So, infinite intelligence, we have so much still to learn, and it's always going to be a good time. But learning lesson day, right, really. I feel like goes better if you guys are asking questions, if you guys are commenting on things you don't fully understand, right? Letting me know where it is we need to, let's say, converse, but focus on more so that make sure the collective understands these things, right? But I only know what it is you guys need me to focus on, what you guys need me to go over more, right? If you guys tell me, okay? All right. Okay. I love you guys. Remember, we speak love, justice, and peace. Y'all have a blessed day. I will see y'all tomorrow for our collective reading. Okay. Be there. Be square. Messages from the divine. Okay. We will see what the messages that the divine hold for us tomorrow are. Okay. And yeah. And remember, if you want to play Conscious Game Night with us, that is going to be Friday. Starting time is anywhere between 6 to 8 p.m. Okay. I love y'all. Link is in my bio to join anytime play. The Discord server is like the fourth or fifth link down in the link tree. Okay, so if you need help, let me know. If you need a shoulder to lean on, let me know. My DMs are always open. I love you guys. Seriously. Seriously. Okay. All right. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a blessed day. Okay. And an even more amazing week. Okay. Alrighty. I'm out. I know I say that, but then I'll be talking for like 5 more minutes. I'm serious.